Welcome to Spidell's Federal Tax Minute. I'm your host, Catherine Sedan. This week, we're discussing what to consider when choosing a trustee to manage assets in a trust. For a full discussion on this, plus the purpose of using a trust, the different types of trusts and their uses, how to fund a trust, and more, order Spidell's Overview of Trusts on-demand webinar. You can get details and register for this 4-hour webinar at spidell.com. The job of a trustee, in simplest terms, is to oversee or manage the assets in a trust. A trustee may be a relative or loyal friend, an individual professional trustee, or a bank or corporate trustee. There are pros and cons to each type of trustee. Grantors often feel that they can trust a friend or family member to carry out their wishes and watch out for their beneficiaries. The friend or relative may provide a more personal touch and be less expensive, if not free, but they may not have a professional's impartiality or knowledge of a trustee's duties, or they may simply not be available when needed. A professional trustee, whether it's an individual, bank, or corporate trust department, may be less personal, but they provide constant availability, experience, investment skills, permanence, and impartiality. Have your client consider these questions before using a friend or relative as a trustee. Do you have a friend or relative whom you trust to make decisions about your property after you're gone? Does that friend or relative have the time to commit to fulfilling the many duties of being a trustee? Does your friend or relative have the knowledge of, or do you trust them to learn the information necessary to manage the assets in your trust? Are there any terms of your trust that could present a conflict of interest to your potential trustee? Do you have any familial conflicts that could present problems for the trustee? Does your trust hold assets that may force the trustee to make difficult decisions? Is the cost of a professional trustee a consideration? And is the friend or relative also a beneficiary of the trust? Trustees are required to administer a trust according to law and in accordance with the trust instrument. They have a legal duty to manage the trust's assets in the best interests of the beneficiaries. This might include managing rental properties, investing funds, or paying income to the beneficiaries. The amount of work required and the extent of access a trustee has to the funds is specified in the trust documents and state law. However, all trustees are subject to the same basic duties. They have to act solely in the interest of the beneficiaries, both present and future, not favor one beneficiary over another. This is particularly difficult when the trustee is also a beneficiary or a friend of one of the beneficiaries. They have to avoid conflicts of interest, control and preserve trust property while keeping the property productive, and administer the trust with reasonable care, skill, and caution. Even if a trustee delegates a portion of their duties to a qualified professional, the trustee is still responsible and liable for the ultimate results. The old saying, "No good deed goes unpunished," applies to the actions of a trustee. Trust management is always reviewed in hindsight. As a result, if a trustee does a good job, they're simply doing a job. But if they do a bad job, the trustee is considered incompetent and the beneficiaries may sue. The potential trustee should read the trust document to be sure they understand the duties associated with acting as trustee and are able to comply with the terms of the trust. Because there is such a high standard of duty and liability imposed on trustees, a family member or a close friend may prefer to decline the request in favor of a professional trustee. Spidell's Federal Tax Letter is a monthly newsletter plus a searchable online archive of back issues that keeps you at the leading edge of the federal tax issues that will impact your clients, from healthcare to trusts, and from LLCs to virtual currencies. You can see subscription information and download a sample issue at spidell.com under Publications. That's all for this week. Join us next time for another episode of Spidell's Federal Tax Minute.